everybody. It's Deb, Rock Evans from Rock the Boat. It's so good to see you guys again. Let us know if you're tuning in live, #live, or if you're going to catch the replay, #replay. So this is a real impromptu catch up. I haven't been very consistent with these, but who cares? I want to rock up and show up and talk to people when the time arises. And I have recently met an amazing lady called Debbie Lim. I was introduced to her from my dear friend Melissa and joined her group. And I have to say, I just loved her vibe and energy from the get-go. Another fellow Deb. And love what she was doing in the group and have been connecting with her over the past few weeks. And I thought, you know what? Let's just get on and have a chat and jam it out, because I don't know about you, but how many times are you having a conversation with some great person that you've met recently and you're just like buzzing out, and you go, sometimes I go, wow, we should totally be recording this because other people would love this. So I'm starting to learn, and I'm now going, okay, I meet this great person, I'm gonna bring them in and let's do that if they're up for it, right? If they're up for it, let's jam this out live. So in saying that, I don't have a plan for today. I'm just bringing Debbie Lim in, and we're gonna jam it out and talk about all things creativity and magnetism. Okay, so Deb is a coach, she's an energy healer and a creative, and she's here, and I love this, to lead a revolution of creative awakening. And I am all about revolutions. When it comes to branding and having your own brand, I just believe my motto is be real, be remembered, and be revolutionary, you know. So I'm loving that she's got a movement and a revolution that she's a part of, and bringing a business in and bringing a tribe in along for the ride. So she really believes that the creative process is a pathway to access your infinite potential. So I'm sure we're going to be digging into this juicy stuff today. That's great. And her mission is to see more money in the hands of more good people who desire to contribute to the world in a positive way. And I absolutely resonate with that. We're very much kindred in that area as well. She gets completely turned on by helping women to break out of their patterns and programs that hold them stuck in scarcity or lack. And her work empowers women to stop being the glue that's holding it together all the time, so that they can actually receive true abundance, which includes joy, pleasure, play, creativity, desire, time freedom, and of course, money. So she believes that we're here. We've come here to the Earth School with everything that we need, and that our journey through life is just all about remembering that truth, that profound truth. And she's got a mystery school. That's her place to remember and activate your innate gifts and weave an abundant and impactful legacy of your own. So look, you can read the rest. It's in the description. Let's bring Deb in. I'm very keen to chat. Here she is. Hi, Deb.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I was loving that intro. I'm receiving that, even though I may have words myself. But thank you. You
did, but I so resonate with so many of them. I'm here on the same mission. You know, it's about empowering people to see their potential, their highest potential, isn't it? And bring it to the world. And now is the time to be doing it. Yeah,
it absolutely is. And if we have a similarity, a common thread in our revolutions that we're starting, I think that's it. And I could feel that when I first met you, and I was like, oh, we've got a similar kind of passion for helping other people to step into, their aligned success, their freedom. And I'm really excited about it because it feels like there's a massive, massive, massive awakening going on around entrepreneurship and around purpose and around passion. And a lot of people just going, if I've got to get up in the morning and put a massive amount of energy into my day, why not let it light me up, and so that I get deeply fulfilled whilst I am doing my doing.
Totally. Absolutely. I agree. Well, I don't know about you, but I mean, everyone's getting, if they're not there already, they're getting closer to that point of what the hell am I doing with my life? If I'm not here to find joy and have fun and enjoy what I'm doing, what the hell am I doing? And I mean, that's certainly where I was. You know, a big part that started me on this journey was just getting out of that rat race and that 9 to 5 grind. And I was in IT and I just felt my soul was being sucked out of me. You know, it's probably one of, apart from problem solving, it's one of the least creative places I could have ended up in.
Funny that. I love
it. So it was, it was sucking the soul out of me. And and I wanted to have a baby and I wanted to start a business. And so those two things birthed at the same time.
I love it.
Yeah, but you know what? I actually want to hear more about your story, Deb. Tell us your story, how you got into this entrepreneurship and why you've got this passion to help more people do what you're doing.
Well, mine's a little bit different in that I have pretty much always been an entrepreneur. My husband just, I drove him mad, I think. A couple of times I went out to work for other people and it didn't work out so well. And he's like, you just can't be told what to do. And I was like, maybe that's true. Maybe that's true. It's a little bit to do with, you know, your human design. It's a little bit to do with your family and your upbringing. It's a little bit to do with so many things, right? But I think, entrepreneurship, definitely it was a deep, deep family kind of calling. I just learned the other day that, and I never knew this, that my grandfather actually started his own food business, which he then burnt down. Interesting kind of program that also ran in another direction. But then my dad was also always an entrepreneur and always, he worked a little bit here and there, but he would usually always come back to creating and recreating life and business. However, it was very much old school. Like what I grew up with was my parents were sort of shop owners. So they would work all the hours under the sun. They would wear all the hats in their business. They would, you know, do everything. And so what I saw growing up was just work. There was no receiving at all. And so, you know, of course I had that deep desire as well to be the freedom, I think is ultimately what a lot of us are chasing. But we're not free if we're working all the hours under the sun, right? And then, as you say, like becoming a mum adds a whole other full-time job to your world. And so I was, and there was some trauma running in the background for the various other bits and pieces too, which I basically became like this super busy person, like really, really busy across lots of different things. So very much diluting my energy and maybe avoiding stepping fully into one thing where I could really shine. So, I
relate to that. I keep calling myself a multi-passionate person. Is that what you're like? You're like,
and this is the thing, is like I think we get to be multi-passionate and multi-dimensional, but looking at also dancing with where am I? Because you know, let's face it, when there's patterns of overwork, we're using that in some way to hide from other areas of our life that want to be looked at, that want to be healed. And so it wasn't until like my body completely broke down and busted that I had to start going, okay, what is happening here? And I can't carry on like this. And it's taken like a good 7 years to, you know, to repair the adrenal damage of long-term stress, overwork, and busyness. Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Which part will I choose? You don't need my whole life story today. Oh, I love it. Tell us your story, your messy message. Does everybody see that, or is that my private prompt? Yeah, this is my messy message, isn't it? So if I look at, I suppose, you know, I like to look back and go, if there was one thing that was, you know, say the body breakdown was really calling me to look at, what was it? And if I had to choose just one element of that, it was really the journey home to actually being in my physical body and learning to listen to the messages of my body. So yeah, I had been diluting myself, as I said. I had been running from a lot of, you know, processing of some really big trauma. I'd lost a business. I'd lost all my money and my income. Around that time, we'd had 2 or 3 deaths in a really close portion of time. Like there was sort of like a whole lot of compounding elements of life kind of blew up. And then I was pregnant with my first baby, all kind of at the same time. But I sort of had to switch into the survival mode that many of us do when we become a parent, because you've suddenly got a human being to look after, which is in itself a huge, new path to step on. But alongside of that, I had all of these other pieces that had just kind of imploded in my world that I did not have the tools or the capacity to even look at that time. So that all kind of got, swept under the rug, which is kind of what we will do when we need to survive, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, because when we need to survive, we need to survive. So survival is what it is. But then we come through the other side, and it's like, and then at what point do we switch out of that survival mode? Like, we're no longer in that threat of, I've got a new baby and I've got all this stuff to deal with. Years have gone by, but I haven't dealt with any of it. And so what was happening was roaming pain in my body, exhaustion, vertigo, random fainting. And I was going to the doctor and looking after it all, and they were just like, it's stress. And I'm like, but I'm not stressed right now. Like, this was years later. My life is good. I'm fine. I'm fine, I think, if I just keep sweeping it under the rug. And then, of course, it was like the rug got pulled out. I actually just kind of collapsed on the floor and fainted or passed out or had a seizure. I don't actually really know. And it was that moment that I was like, okay, I need to actually start.
That was the one
things differently. Yeah, I need to listen to my body. I need to admit or find out about this stress thing, and not really, didn't understand at the time what PTSD is, and that, it's all just sitting there waiting for you once you've got the capacity to receive it. And this is the thing with healing, right, is that it's often when we feel safe, when life's calmed down, that's when issues will rise to the surface, because now you do have the capacity, now you do have the time or the tools or the, kind of solidified groundwork around you to hold you in that space. So yeah, that's when it kind of all things started changing. I think my first kind of modus that I went down was essential oils and taking all the toxic things out of our house, because also my children were starting to present these various different health concerns. And it's interesting, isn't it, how the kids will mirror different pieces of us, like, and it's all a call to just have a look at like what's actually going on. So yeah, it was a really long.
My big wake up call in that area, in that health area, was when I had my son. That was when the first time I started questioning what the hell is in this thing that I'm putting on his skin, and what is in this food. I mean, he wasn't on food for, spent the first year on the boob and everything, but you just start going, what, you want to put what in him? And then you think, well,
okay, why was I not worried about what I was putting in my own body? Because we have a bit of a disconnect there, and so the kids are a beautiful way to lead us home.
Yes, they really are, aren't they? Yeah, no, they really are. And so was the creativity part of just Melissa's just saying here, stress is such an all-encompassing umbrella, and you're right, how magic are our bodies to help to store so many different stresses, and how many different stresses are we just not even aware of, I mean, I can totally understand why you would have thought I'm not stressed, and you always think things like PTSD, you think about soldiers that have been to war, don't you? Not mums, not busy mums.
And this is the thing about trauma, is we'll downplay it and we'll go, but it's not that, so I'm fine, so I've got no right to feel that. And so the suppression just builds and builds and builds, but the body will just get louder and louder and louder and louder and louder until we finally listen.
So look, the rest and recuperation obviously was a part of your healing journey then. So where did creativity come in?
Well, we actually not long. I'm trying to think time frame wise. Like after I could kind of think about the falling down moment as the big body awakening. It wasn't actually that long after that we decided to move regions, and we actually moved to the Coromandel Peninsula. Looking for a different lifestyle. You know how if you just think, I just pick my life up and I'll move it and it'll be totally different. And look, environment does assist. Like that did activate a different sort of awakening. That's when I started learning energy healing, wandered through the dark night of the soul for quite a few years, but that was actually the place that reawakened my creativity, because I had been to art school and been like deeply immersed in that. So I have a Bachelor of Visual Arts, and, you know, I was top of the class every year and had the most visual diaries of everybody. And I was sort of like, I think I've got ADD. I don't know. I've never had it officially diagnosed, but the more I learn about it, the more I go, this really resonates. So ADD, hyper focus. You know, we would get on a creative role and just churn out more work in like 1 week than some people would do in a whole year. And I still do that as well. So, but then, so what had happened after art school was like just a total desert wasteland, I'm going to call it, of creativity, of like I just completely dropped it. And I still haven't quite worked out exactly what was going on in my life. I did move countries. So again, maybe I was just trying to step out of my life again. Like, I've got stuff I don't want to deal with. I'll just move countries. And and creativity just thing. Then came back and did the business with my parents, which is the one that didn't work out so well. Had started being creative again when I came back to New Zealand, but then when that business kind of disappeared and motherhood took over, I think I had in my mind there was no space for me, and that's, you know, and joy and play and experimentation and all of that. That, you know, it's amazing what we have in our mindset, say about, well, if we're a mum, and depending on what you grew up with and what you saw a mum means, a mum looked like somebody that was always cleaning, always giving for everyone else, always making sure that everything else was done, feeling ahead, you know, and looking after everyone else. So I think that was, speaking it out loud, probably a really big piece for me of like, oh, you know, I just didn't see any space for it. So then we moved to Whirianga, and I had started working with my Reiki master, actually, the person that taught me Reiki. And I was really stuck on something that she was trying to help me through. And I was just like trying to get the words out to express. She was asking me a question, and I just couldn't quite find the words to express what I wanted to say to her. And she was just like, where is the artist in all of this? And I was like, how did you know I was an artist? She's quite psychic. And then we just kind of tuned in, and she's like, there's like a massive creative awakening that wants to happen here for you. What is it? And we just kind of tuned into the body, like, you know, in our psychic senses. Is it painting? Is it photography? Is it this? Is it that? And painting actually just lit up like a beacon. And I was like, oh, that's interesting, because I didn't take painting at art school, although I deeply desired to. So there you go. The perfectionist in me preferred photography because I could make it look exactly how I wanted, right? So
really tight.
Yes, I get to have it all controlled. So that was the first thing I did. I painted out. She said, paint out how you felt like before this awakening experience, and then how you feel now. And it was just, I just completely handed over my, you know, my mind, my thinking, my perfectionism into like trust and intuition for once. I just randomly selected some colors. I got 2 canvases from the warehouse for like $3 or something. I think my kids had some paintbrushes. And I just let my body do it and took the mind out. Like, this is not about art. I'm trying to find an answer to a question that I don't have words for right now. And I was just absolutely blown away at what came out. And I've got like them on a side by side. And it's really interesting because one of them, actually, there's a lot of colors I'm seeing in this backdrop right now, which was like sort of the murky, the before, the constant struggle, all of the things. And then I painted this other picture, I suppose you will call it. And it was all blue with this big blue, what looks like a blue flame in the center of it, or lotus heart or something. I didn't even know what I was looking at. And I kind of took them to her going, here are my pictures. And then fast forward, it's been about 7 years since I painted those first paintings. And that's what I work with now. I work with the blue flame. I work with the blue ray of creation. I work with a bunch of blue ray beings as my spirit team, guides, healers. So it's really fascinating to look back at that moment. I had no idea what I was looking at and just thought, oh, that's a bit weird. And then fast forward and go, okay, those were actually... that was me accessing a future version of myself through painting. And so that's kind of what I help people to do now with my creative sessions.
Very cool. So there's a couple of things I really love in that. I love that you needed help, or someone helped you find that again, or find that was the thing you needed, that creative awakening had to happen. Because I think we get these messages from people, don't we? And it's often validation of what we were feeling inside. I mean, were you feeling that for yourself? Were you feeling any kind of pull? Were you, no? It was really cool.
But I think I had to go through that sort of almost like a, I don't know, I've got the word spiritual blindness, like to go deep into what is it like to just be completely disconnected from our creativity in order to help other people take the journey home as well. And that's something in my human design. I'm an investigating martyr, it's called. So how I learn, I guess, how I gather what I'm going to teach people as I take the journey first. So I really deeply understand it. So I kind of look back at that now and go, yeah, that sort of makes sense. But it was interesting how it had not occurred to me at all until it was suggested.
It was interesting. I mean, I'm a creative person too. I've always been into art. I've always been a bit of a performer, and I've always loved singing. So, but when I think about, I look back, a lot of that, some of it was squashed. It's when I changed schools, and then some of it was squashed in my 20s. I just dropped everything creative, and it is weird that it's like how life sneaks up on you and sort of, it's reinforced everywhere as well. I think that, you don't have time for that stuff. You've got to be busy, getting busy. And
it's like a value thing as well. Like we're taught through everything that we're fed and the way that the world is kind of set up around us, that the starving artist, like the struggling healer, that we can't, that it's not a valuable use of your time or your energy to play, when in fact it's the complete opposite. Like that's what I'm finding, is that actually once we start weaving these and they get to then actually at some point they'll start working together. That's what I love about helping people find their soul purpose. I've just become really clear lately that yes, I do help people make money, but actually what I really do is I help them to weave together, like what's the thing that lights them up, and bring that into what it is that they're here to create, to bring forth, because then we're in that conscious creation with the truth of who we are. I love that you used the word truth right at the start. I'm like, yeah, that's what it is. That's what alignment is. People say the word alignment a lot in the spiritual world, but I believe that, once we do find that, it all gets to feel good, gets to be enjoyable, and we get to be paid for it. But at first, I think we return.
It's what we're actually here for. Yes. Melissa is following that golden thread of excitement. We're not here to run in hamster wheels. We're not here to keep things turning. We're here to innovate and create. We are creators. And I think a lot of that stuff, it all gets squashed out of us. It all gets reinforced by messaging and narratives through society that it's not valuable, it's not going to pay, there's no point to it. But actually, that's how great civilizations have become so advanced, because they did create,
Yeah. And you look at, what's going on in the world at the moment. We need creative thinkers. We need innovators. We need inventors. We need the rebels. We need the people that are here to rock the boat, to do things differently, to break things down, because it's not working. We've never been more stressed. Like, the financial situation for most people is dire, and it doesn't have to be that way.
No, it is. It's bad. No. We're moving to a more abundant way of life, aren't we, Debbie?
Yeah.
So, listen, So you have, so the other thing that came through for me is that, oh, she studied art. So she's always been creative. So what about, can we all be creative? Do you believe that we can all be creative? And do you help people currently be more creative who don't consider themselves to be traditionally
I do,
creative?
because my big message is I do not teach art, which I don't. What I do in my creative alchemy sessions is I hold space for people to have a tantrum, to access their emotions, to free their voice, to throw paint around, to get messy, because we're breaking down, like, there's a big, there's even a thing called the art wound, I believe, where actually a lot of art and art practices take out the creativity, because there are artists in the world and there are artisans and there are people that learn fine arts and crafts, and there's skill levels to all of that, but that's not what the world that I'm playing in. This is about remembering that you are born creative, you are born of the creative sexual spark dynamic. That's what we are as human beings. So to say that you're not creative just means that you've just forgotten that.
You've created a story around that, and probably fed it to yourself for a long time. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, I think that was it. It's like, I couldn't see how to turn my art school journey into a job, therefore I just dropped it. So what happened was, when I painted those first 2 pictures, I realized how much joy it brought me, and so I started playing with paint like a small child, finger painting. And I just found like my anxiety levels were leaving, and then my depression lifted, and it just didn't come back. And then I just did more and more and more. But now it's more like moving it through with emotions, and I'm developing like a whole kind of process and modality for that, because I'd love to see that as something that was in our New Earth School education for kids, so that they actually have, rather than, because I actually worked in school for a little while with a program that I'd created around, managing their emotions. However, it's about managing, and a lot of it's about actually managing them away, as opposed to what is that emotion? How can I feel safe to be in the full expression of that? In our current school system, those two things don't really align. So that's kind of a part of my bigger mission, is I'd love to see this turn into like an education revolution as well. I can't remember what your original question was. I went way off the tangent, but yes, we are all creative. If you put a bunch of 3-year-olds or 5-year-olds at a table with all sorts of art materials, they're not one of them's going to stand up and go, "I'm not creative. Sorry, I don't know what to do."
But they're also not going to go, "Oh, that looks stupid," or "I didn't do that right," are they? They give themselves a break. They don't judge themselves like that, which is what our problem is as adults. so I mean, is this something? Do you actually help people get more creative? What does the creative process look like for you, and how do you help people tap into that?
My current creative process, it's funny, because I went down this route of, like, I started painting pictures, like actual pictures, and I got to a point where I'd get sort of choked again, and it's like the judgment's kicking in, the the inner critic's kicking in, the perfectionism, the who's going to want this, is anyone going to want to buy this, and it just absolutely kills my creative fire. So now I use my own, the modality that I've been talking about. So it's called creative alchemy. So I'll go in and we'll do some breath work. And there's usually like something that's brought me to that space, like I'm feeling a buildup of energy, or I'm feeling stuck about something, or I'm feeling really triggered about something that happened last week that I just can't let go of, or I'm trying to, maybe call through the codes of what's next for me in my business. And so I'll do some breath work, and then I put on some loud music, and I do some shaking and then I just go nuts with it. I just throw paint around. I just smush it. I'm literally moving the energy out of my body. And then I'll go do some more breath work and some different kind of movement. Okay, now that I'm feeling like that's cleared, what's available to me now? And then I just randomly, it's a I don't even know how to quite put it into words yet, but it's an expression that comes straight from the heart space out through the arms, right? So there's no mind getting in the way, and I'll just do whatever feels, and then I step back, and there's usually something quite cool there, and then I let that code my field, I guess, my energy field. I believe that there's a message in there that maybe I don't even know what that is yet, and so it's kind of like I just soak that up. So yeah, they're sort of like creative freedom sessions, emotional processing, but you are also, I think, accessing your truth in that moment. So that's something I do online or in my Creative Alchemy membership, so people can join that.
So you're all in your own rooms throwing paint around and
we get quite excited and paint goes everywhere, and I will take photos afterwards and people are just covered in paint. And
I would actually really love to experience that. That's just
I will send you a link to join me on the next one. I've been learning a lot of other tools too. Like I've done a bit of breathwork training. I've obviously got Reiki Master, Kanika, which is a bone release and trauma-informed coaching therapy. And also, there's the creative element. And then I've recently started dabbling in sound. So that now all comes. So the session is 2 hours now. So we follow this process: unearth, unleash, activate, and anchor. So it's a full kind of energy rebirth process. We did one the other day, which was accessing your magic. And, because a lot of us don't really feel, again, like that's aligned to abundance, or we've been shut down somewhere along the way from it, or we carry witch wounds or whatever it is. And by the end of the session, I think 3 people have done the replay now and said they got to, at the end, 100% safe to be fully expressed in their magic. So I'm just like, yes.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Wow. Yeah, because I think so many people are out of tune with it. I mean, we've just taken through, 10 people last weekend, a couple of weekends ago, through Brain Camp. And, that's quite a big ask for people who aren't usually creative, certainly not designers, and certainly don't know how to use the tools like Canva and stuff. And I was really blown away by what everyone created. And, just because they let themselves, we learned the fundamentals of what makes up a good brand, but a big key part of it was the branding playbook. And again, it's about that play side of it, where they got to just brainstorm their ideas and drop words that resonate with them and answer questions really quickly before the brain logically starts to overthink it. And, what are they really looking for? I was really impressed with what people came up with. It was very exciting. It was the first time we done it.
Play and permission is such a big piece. Like one of the first things I hosted down in Whitianga, it was years ago now, was there was a festival on. They said, do you want to run a workshop? I said, sure. And they were like, what do you want to do? And at that time, that's when I was playing with my paints in the garage. So I was like, I'm going to host an intuitive painting workshop. And then I was like, what will I do in an intuitive because I was like, well, the whole point is I'm not here to teach you. I'm here to give you. And basically all it came down to was permission. I took all of my things that I had, created and laid them all out everywhere. And there was some really ugly stuff. And there was some really probably what you would call cool stuff. But of course, it's all in the eye of the. And so I just talked them through that. I'm like, there is no right or wrong. If you don't like it, just paint over it. And there was from 5-year-olds through to adults there. So the mums all did it too. So there was 20-something people in this room all painting, and they just needed the space and the permission. And it was so cool. They didn't need me to be telling them anything. It was amazing.
We're also used to being given a formula or a process or whatever to follow, isn't it? So it's hard. It's really hard to do, to just go. Just get out of your own way and go. It's hard.
Yeah, it is. There's a lot in the way of that, a lot of it is really deep wounding for people. Like there's real shame around that. It's quite often, in coaching sessions, I'll find these wounds in people where it's a really, deeply embedded trauma in there somewhere, where they've been shamed, shut down, judged, compared, made to feel less than over something that they've created, or when they were, you know, being their weird, wonderful self and somehow got shut down. And it really shuts down the voice. It has like a massive effect on the whole body, actually.
Yes, yeah. No, I totally agree. So with those people, how do you suggest they get started? How do they get out of their own way? Not everyone's going to have an intuitive workshop, intuitive painting workshop here, just go, or, you know, have that safe space around them. But you know, that there are so many benefits to getting started, aren't there, with being creative, more creative in your life, in terms of what that brings in for you.
Well, the first thing is like, what are the stories that you're telling yourself about why you can't? Because often what I'll hear from people is, I don't have a space at my home. And I'm just like, really? So in your whole house, you couldn't set up this much space to paint on? Are you sure? Is that true? And it's like, and then another one would be, I don't have time. It's like, you know, time is always, what are we choosing to prioritize?
Yeah.
And I battle with that daily, the choice to put my stuff ahead. And like, not that I do that every day, but even on just a week-to-week basis, you know.
Do you think you do that well though now because of what it took to get you here? You know, how you with your health breakdown and everything. Is that why you prioritize it so damn well? Because you really do walk your talk. I was commenting on that before we got started. You know, it's something that's really blown me away, having, you know, you've only been in my remit for what, a few weeks even, or a month. And that's what I have seen you walking your talk, you know. So you take yourself away and have your retreat, and you make your, you know, you've done that several times in the last few weeks. I'm like, damn, girl, that's great. I can't seem to drag myself out of my busyness at all and get some stuff for myself. So, you know, kudos to you. Amazing.
It is interesting in that a lot of that has actually come from, you know, there's a lot of talk about like people being in their masculine and that being the busyness piece, and then this whole divine feminine masculine. There's a lot of confusion out there about that. But basically the journey to being able to choose myself and put myself first has actually been a deep healing of inner masculine kind of energy, like stuff that we say, oh, but to be free, I don't want to do that. I don't want to have a timetable. I don't want to have a structure. But it's actually like the more structure that we can wrap around like our business and our lifestyle, especially when we are, you know, leading very full lives, the more space it opens up, and I'm going to say space, not time. Like it's a feeling of how you get to experience the time that you have. And also, again, the investigating martyr, I'll go through these phases where I don't do it and I just end up feeling really shitty again. And I'm like, okay, it's time for me to take my own medicine again. Yeah.
So you take yourself away to do that, or you know,
a garden shed out here now. So we've moved back to Pukekohe after we had our 5 years away in Whitianga, and I went from, as I said, the space for painting, which was a little, you know, drop sheet on the garage floor, to a little portion of a room, to now I've got my own garden shed, which is really cool, which is just outside. So I've actually got a space that's fully set up all the time, so I can literally just walk out the door and do it.
That's great. Yeah. You see, I'm on a boat and I can't do that. But, you know, there's an art class on a Friday, you know, where people just get together and do their own thing. It's not really a class. It's just, and I could do that. So there's a space and there's a time.
Yeah. And, you know, Mother Nature is great space to get creative, especially when you get messy and loud.
Yeah. And that's another thing Melissa's just saying. She agrees, genuine discipline, leads to true freedom. And I really like that you bring in that masculine, because we hear a lot lately about the divine feminine, and actually, that's there's that masculine side of it around the discipline is very important, actually, and we shouldn't,
Yeah, and it's moving it from a space of like everything needing to be hard and forced into I choose this because I'm in devotion to myself, my well-being, my creativity, my mission, being an embodied leader, you know, and the more that you can expand your vision into why that's important, then the more it, you know, the more it helps you to choose and make those choices that are aligned with where you're going and what you're doing. And when that's it, right? We are, yes, we're breaking down the patriarchal overall, but we're not creating a matriarchy. We're not going to be these divine feminine, like we now rule the world. It's like, no, we're coming into balance. We're coming into harmony, and that starts within ourselves.
Yeah. So I want to get on to the big juicy part because, you know, we sort of titled this was about, you know, the links between creativity and magnetism. So
that's right.
How does creativity affect magnetism? Because it's, you know, we all want that.
Yeah. It is about coming back to, you know, like if we put it in spiritual terms, we talk about like the divine child frequencies. And actually this is perfect timing because this is about when we have the masculine and feminine working in balance together in our body. They're not two separate energies. They're in union. And when they are in union, that creates this energy called the divine child, which is that remembrance that when we come here, we are creative. That's what we're here to do as humans. We're here to create. We're here to be. We're not here, as you said, to be the hamsters on the wheels, like churning out heaps of work for something that doesn't really matter to us. Yeah. So when we are in that soul alignment, we are in states of joy, pleasure, play. We're in receivership of the universe. We are in that is in there's lots of different ways that you could define magnetism, but for me that's what makes us magnetic. You know, you are lit up, you are literally in an expanded state because you're in that remembrance of who you are also as a soul, as well as being deeply embodied in your human at the same time. So I think that's probably the connection point for me about creativity. I mean, it's so the inner child's just so happy in that space. So you know, fear collapses your magnetic field. Anything that's not love, which is that soul aligned truth, is a fear-based, you know, they're all fear-based, all the other emotions. So it's either one or the other. One of them makes your field really, really big, which means that you're in a different sort of vibrational frequency. You attract more good things than the things that you want into your life. Like I was just actually recording this in one of the Telegram chats that I ran this morning about how every time I'm either taking my little rest weekends, like I've just been on, or out playing in my studio, or I've decided to cancel my work afternoon and have a nap, that's when somebody messages me and says, I'd like to join your program, or I'd like to pay you for something. Because you're in that, like, you're in alignment and you're in receiving. So
Yeah, because that letting go and playing is, and however you, and even resting, like you say, that's just switching off the do. I've done enough of the do. I'm now going to receive. And without even expecting
the need for that thing too. Like sometimes when we're entrepreneurs too, we need the money, so we got to do the things because we need it. But when we can step back from that and just let it all go, that's when there's no energetic bondage happening. And so things can just arrive. And this is when you become a magnet for miracles too, because if you're completely disattached and you're in a state of joy even in what you're doing, then it could be bigger than what you had thought it was with your mind. You know what I mean? Like you might think, oh, I want to create something and have, you know, a sale. And then so, you know, you could magnetize in one person that brings two others. And it's like, oh my gosh, that's even bigger and more than I thought. And I've had that happen too, like little miracles.
So do you think that, it's the feeling too, right? So with the play, it's the feeling of joy, it's the feeling of excitement that helps bring that in too, right?
I think so. You know, I've got a sign on my wall over there that says your vibe attracts your tribe. And, you know, I do get that feedback a lot where people are like, I just want to know what's going on in your world. I like your vibe. And, you know, that's just magnetism speaking there, right? And it's kind of that whole There's all sorts of alchemical things that actually happen in your body to do with light and to do with your cells and your energy and all of that. But at the end of the day, that's what, everyone can feel that. They're like, I like your vibe. I'm like, yeah. I like my vibe too. And I think that's why you like my vibe. Because I'm like,
yeah, I'm very attracted to your vibe. Absolutely. Yeah. And like I mentioned, Melissa introduced me to you and she said, I think you're really going to like this chick. And I did.
Listen, I like your vibe too. I like all of your vibes.
Yeah. And it's because we're just showing up and being us and being real, right? And I think that's a big part of it. I do really value your honesty when I have seen you speaking live in your group and stuff. You're just so real. And that's so important now. We all need to be doing this. It's just the veil is shifting, and it's thinning, and you just can't turn up in any other way other than to be.
Yeah. Truth is just, it's the highest kind of frequency at the moment. And that's, everybody can feel that, your dog knows it, your children know it when you're bullshitting, they're like, Right. And it's something that people can all feel before you've even opened your mouth, I think. So it's really important. We're walking our talk. And if we're not, like if we fall out of alignment with whatever it is that we're here to teach or preach, then just own that as well. Like, I'm really big about that, just shedding the shame and going, I'm not being creative and I feel terrible about it. And that's just how it is this week. And people are like, yeah, okay, you're human, and as a coach or a leader or a whatever movement it is that you're in the front of, like, nobody wants a guru. Nobody needs a perfect example of anything because they can't align to that. That's right.
That is bang on. Absolutely. Yeah. Hey, look, so what you mentioned it earlier. I love it when people use the term rock the boat, and I'm like, yeah, because that's what we're all about here. So I'd love to know from you, how do you think you're rocking the boat in your business or life? Like, just pick a thing where you're really rocking the boat right now, and what that is.
Because I'm walking a bit of an edge at the moment towards something. So I've done, Reiki practitioner master training. I was recently in a training, and when it came to certification time, I stepped out and they were all just like,
that's interesting.
Doing? And I was like, my soul's just saying I don't need to come. I give myself permission to do this. And then I'm just like, ooh, my sacred rebels having a bit of a moment here. And I've been really wanting to open up a space and I did do it last year. I ran this program called Keepers of the Blue Flame. And I had some new information channeling through me about how to help people ascend in and through their bodies with their energy and their creativity and all of the things. And I was thinking that I had to also align it to Reiki 1, 2, and 3, and 4. And then it's just kind of not been sitting quite right with me this year. So it's like, where are we? It's June. Time to launch the program. So it has morphed into something called Rebels of the Light. And the invitation is actually for people that feel the magic stirring within to actually, do we need certificates? Do we need, there's a place for all the modalities, all the trainings are amazing, but what I see is people collecting 20 of them but not stepping into what's your magic, what's here for you. So it's kind of a rebellious place for you to drop how it should be done and just develop your own secret sauce way of combining them together. Like, I've brought Kanika, breath, sound, light, and art together into this creative alchemy embodiment process, into my coaching sessions, which I just called them quantum light sessions, because I'm like, what am I doing here? It's not Reiki, that's for sure. Yeah. So this is the mystery school. This is what I'm here. It's like, they don't need to be taught too much. Like, yes, the bare bones of Reiki, the bare bones of breath work, the bare bones of what sound alchemy could be, because the less we kind of say it has to look like this, or you have to do it my way, when we do that, we're actually shutting down people's ability to, there's a lot of innovation that wants to happen in terms of the healing. I know, I feel like I'm going like painting over here,
yes. So Deb, I just want to be a little bit Oh, I'm just going to say it. It was a part of the reason that you didn't want to get the certification and stuff have anything to do with the codes that you receive, and that how did that sit? Or
what do you mean in terms of codes?
With the Reiki?
Oh, okay. So I'm fully certified with Reiki because that was really early on. This was a different modality, but I actually felt like, well, I'll say it was a breathwork modality. When I had the experience of the breathwork journeys I was like, the breath is a gateway to our infinite self. The breath we have within us, the breath is not a dangerous thing. The breath is like a sovereign right of every human being on the planet. And I don't know, putting it inside a box just felt limiting to me. So I was like, I've got what I need. I've had my felt experience of where you can go with breath work. I know I'm a safe space holder because I've done all these other trainings and it's what I do all day, every day. So I don't need to learn any more about that. Yeah. And I knew that it was just a piece that wants to be woven into this fabric of whatever I'm creating with my creative alchemy. So that was where
I totally hear you. It's the whole being in the box thing again, isn't it? It's like it doesn't need to be in the box. And what are we bringing? Like, and each of us do bring obviously something unique to it because I'm me, you're you, and we're going to do it differently. We're not just vessels, transmitting the same or allowing the same thing to come through. We're adding something as well, and all these experiences and modalities and things that we're learning, they need to be packaged up. We need to just package up our passions, and bring that into the world, because there are so many people that need the healing and that need the guidance and just need the how to get started, and they're not all going to resonate with other people. There's going to be something in what you're delivering and the way you say it or the story that you share that's going to capture someone and like you say, magnetize them to you, and you will be part of their journey, and then they'll be going on and doing that for others. And it's just so beautiful. We all need to be.
I think it's like, as you're talking, like what I'm hearing and feeling is like that. And I think I was speaking into it in my masterclass the other day, and it's just landing in even a deeper level here is that, I think a lot of people don't value the unique, original vessel, I suppose, that they are, transmitter that they are, that we can all learn breathwork, Reiki, Canva, even, all of the different, how to build a website. It's how it comes through you and your unique voice and your unique expression is what will give it that sparkle, that magnetism, that secret sauce that's going to call in your people. So I love that. I know I do. It's interesting. I do a lot of healing symbols with my hands too, and then sometimes I watch these back and fast forward. Someone's just commenting about my speaking.
Yeah, that was my mother. She loves using her hands. Part of your magnetism, obviously.
Well, I am a light weaver. I've discovered, like, that's how I work with people's energy field, as I rebraid their energy. So we're creating a light code ship here with this conversation. That's like a full activation for anybody that hears it and really receives it. Yeah.
Wow, so you've been down that road a whole lot more than me. I'm like, well, I wonder if I could do that. So look, Deb, tell us about how you do people. You sound like you've got lots of ways that you can work with different kinds.
At the moment, there's a few ways. It's all in the coaching. Well, coaching seems like such a limiting word again, but like I've just resigned to call it coaching. But coaching and healing space, coaching and activation. So I'm launching at the moment a second branch of Soul Seed, which is my, I guess you'd call it a business mentorship for spiritual or heart-centered entrepreneurs that are really wanting to, step into their purpose and get really clear on the alignment with their passions, what lights them up, what they're here to do, who they're here to serve. And it's kind of a two-pronged journey where it's a deep unraveling and reweaving of how you relate to you, and then at the same time birthing or expanding or realigning your business so that gets to ascend with you, if you like, because we're We grow and change rapidly. So Soul Seed is 6 months, and that's opening now.
Yeah. And that sounds very similar to what we're doing with Thrive, similar but different. So with Thrive, we help people with the free yourself first process, and to just to remember, all of the stuff all of the experience you have, all of the soft skills you have, all of the all the magic you've already created, just remembering everything that you can bring to the table, and then using that as a sounding board to start, well, what is the thing that I could bring into the world? So but what we do is we go down into a lot more of the practicalities to launch your first thing, get something out there and offer, and a funnel, a customer journey that you can take people on, get that online presence and get going, because again, like you, I'm really passionate about helping people start to build some financial freedom into their life, right? It's not going to happen overnight, obviously, but to start bringing in something so that you're feeling less dependent on the system, on the beast, and you're not having to feed it as much, right? Or feel as entrapped. Yeah. So what is our point of difference? So who are the type? Can you describe to me the type of person that would be ideal for Soul Seed?
I do work with, I love everything that you just said about your process where you start, because that's exactly how I help people start too, because I feel like we undervalue our life experience, and especially the hard and crunchy things that we've worked through. So I work with a lot of coaches, healers, creatives, visionaries. So oftentimes, that'll be the secret sauce and the thing that they're here to help other people with, because they're usually people helping people. So those are the kinds. I think I'm just looking at who's in Soul Seed the first round at the moment. We've got and a lot of them are really multidimensional. So it's like learning how to weave it all together and then choose that one thing to put at the front. So we've got like amazing sound alchemist and grid worker. So she does a lot of healing for the earth. We've got amazing breath work, like master facilitator with multiple energy healing modalities, but she's actually, her secret source is vocal alchemy, and she's been hiding from that. So I usually bring people out of like where they've been hiding from their most powerful self. We have got we do that, right? We go with what's safe and like known, but it's like what's actually the other juicy part. Another one that's really focusing on like her thing is helping break down the good girl and the people pleaser, right? So she's working through throwing off a lot of cultural shackles and family stuff within her own journey, and that's what she's bringing forward. Another one that's like this wild witchy woman that she just does not want to build a funnel, Deb, or do a masterclass or jump through any of the hoops. She just wants to do it completely differently, and she's like, as soon as she owned that, like someone stepped into her world and she takes them out and like rewilds them in nature, and they do full moon, and amazing. So a lot of it's around that permission of like, well, find your own unique way of doing it. But there is a practical training too. We go through social media, and we go through how to set it all up, and all the 3D world stuff that you need to actually run a business as well.
That's awesome. Okay, but you don't have a funnel for that, do you, Deb?
Do I have a funnel for it? I do create funnels sometimes. It's usually in the last on my list of things to do. But yes, I do have links for Soul Seed that you can check out and join.
What do you use? Oh, you use Kajabi, don't you?
I use Kajabi, yep, because it does the emails, it does the funnels, it sales pages, landing pages, and hosts all your courses. So if you're a coach and you're teaching course, then it's great for that.
And you're looking for someone to help you with it, I saw on your story.
Yeah, I just do not have the time to be doing all the things. So support's been a really big piece that I'm weaving in at the moment. I realized how much I was capped at the current money level when I was like, and I just asked my body, how much more energy could I have? What kind of money could that turn into if I was to hire a house cleaner, a VA? I mean, I've already got a few helpers, I've got support coach, I've got accountant, admin lady, that kind of thing. But it was like, you could triple what you're doing. I was like, oh. That's a no-brainer.
Yeah, no, we should probably talk actually. Oh, look, Brigitte, she's got a bit of resistance around the funnel thing. You know, it's interesting. Not everyone needs it. I mean, I know a lot of entrepreneurs at the moment who are, you know, I know someone who's doing 6-figure years out of Messenger, you know.
Yes.
So ultimately it's actually down to how you end up selling yourself to someone in a really one-to-one authentic way, or just an authentic way. You can be authentic in a sales funnel just as much as you can be authentic in Messenger. It doesn't really matter, but the whole thing is how people are going to find you in the first place. And for that, you've got to get out there. You've just got to put yourself out there, and you've got to have a plan. And
one thing is social media.
Sorry?
The number one thing is social media, right? It's free. And it allows us to connect globally. I mean, what a gift. So, you know, if we can embrace social media, then, you know, in a way it is a funnel, isn't it?
Yeah.
Your group is a funnel.
Of course it is.
Yeah, I love funnels. I think they're amazing. That's what I use now when I'm launching anything to you know, get people into my world. And I just love the automation, the way it takes out so much stress. You can reuse things. And it's a great process for you to go through to get clear on who you are, what you're doing, and who you're talking to, right? Because what are you going to put in your funnel?
Absolutely. You've got to remember as well that not everyone not everyone can retain stuff. Like, I like to go back to a page and go, especially when it's a higher price point investment. You know, I need to go back and reread, what am I getting for this? And, you know, really recap over those benefits, find out exactly what I'm going. And you want to be able to go back to that too, even if you do invest in. Sometimes you want to go back and check, what am I getting, and is it all being delivered? So I think there's a lot of people really do love the sales pages, the funnels, because that's where all the information is. And the sales funnel should do a lot of that selling for you, so that by the time they click buy now, they really don't have any resistance anymore, because you've answered all their questions and you've said all that you need to say for them to go, yes, you know. Yeah. There's a lot that can be forgotten in conversation. So everything, each to their own, I guess, is the message for you, Brigitte. You know, like, do what feels good for you, but know that to get started, you've absolutely got to put yourself out there, and you've got to capture people's attention quickly, and you've got to put yourself out there consistently so that people know what you offer and what you're about. Yeah, it's not just going to happen. You can't just shoulder tap people and expect to have a sustainable business that way.
About sustainability, then that's, you know, having in a funnel or some process for your sales is that masculine architecture that we're talking about, that, you know, allows you to go bigger without having to do more, right? We don't want to be doing more. We want to be doing less. So the initial setup for these things might seem insurmountable. And sometimes it's like a mindset thing about tech, or it's hard, or I don't know how. And it's like, yeah, but you can learn or you can hire someone else to do it for you. Like, there's 1,000 ways to skin a cat, and you get to try it, and you get to morph it to suit you, your energy, and all of the things.
Absolutely. Oh, Brigitte, I clocked that you said you weren't saying no to social media. That's all good. What's a funnel, Monica? Yeah, so it's basically the customer journey that you take them on online. So, you know, if we were to meet up and I was to tell you what I do, you know, it's about that relationship, that getting to know each other, and taking you on a journey towards, if you want to work with me, then you know, we have unraveled and taken you on a certain journey that you understand what it means to work with me. It's not like we meet up for a coffee and I ask you to marry me straight away, you know, because a lot of people are just buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. The funnel is actually taking them on a bit of a journey. It's giving them, it's usually starting that journey by giving them something of really high value that they really need, that solves a problem that they have. And then once they've enjoyed that, It's having something else that can even expand on and improve that experience even more. It's a next step, and it's something, it's how they can work with you. So that's in a nutshell what a funnel is. It's a horrible word, really.
It sounds like I'm just having a vision of like Charlie in the Chocolate Factory, where she goes down the thing. But if you think of it as like you say, a journey, it's a pathway to get to the door or the meeting room or the boardroom, or the like, how do I get to actually receive your magic, Deb?
And where Brigitte's got a bit of I guess a block around that, because it's pulling your customers in. But it's not only pulling in people who are resonating to you, it is actually repelling the ones that are just never going to get it either, and never get you, and not like you, or aren't ready for what you do. So it's actually quite an important process, because the last thing we want to be doing is talking to people who are actually never going to work with us, because they're just not they're not vibing. They're not our people.
Exactly. And that's a key part of magnetism, right? Is repelling. So in order to magnetize, you need to repel. So finding your creative je ne sais quoi through Canva, your brand soul essence and your voice, and marrying that all up. It is an art form that you do need, like the skills that you're teaching, Deb. Like, it's super important. And I'm at the moment going really deep into like the messaging. Like you say, you've got to stop the scroll, right? Someone that's interested in what's that one key thing. Bringing soul alignment in and being able to communicate that. And within, what have we got, 30 seconds or something, or 20 seconds for people to actually go, I'm going to stop and read that post, as opposed to just,
it's really being true to yourself, as well as the people that you want to help. Because unless you do all that really deep thinking on how exactly it is that you help people, then we tend to, as many of us being people pleasers as well, we tend to want to try to help everyone, even if it's not our absolute specialty, even if we might not do as good a job as her down the road. Maybe I should have referred to them to her because she's a better fit or what have you. But we tend to, because needs must, often go, oh no, I'll help, even if it's really not your jam. So creating a sales funnel and doing all that deep thinking around the journey that you take people on, that you want to take people on, because you are uniquely able to do that because of your experience and skills and gifts, and you can uniquely take them on this particular journey in a particular way, and that's how you help. And if that resonates with someone, the sales funnel the sales pages and all of that messaging, all that deep thinking around the messaging that you've done will communicate very, very clearly to them that they're in the right place for that. And it will repel the ones that aren't.
Totally. And it is about stepping into your power. Like, if you think back to what I shared at the start about how I was doing all these things and diluting myself by being busy, and that's what us as women will do a lot with all this octopusing of our energy. So you can think of the sales funnel as like, instead of doing 10 things that I feel safe in, that are really maybe low ticket or a bit of this and a bit of that, it's like, what's the one thing that actually I would be the most fulfilled for someone to step into my world, creating a big juicy offer. That's the journey that we go on in Soul Seed too. It's like, what have you got? And then about a few months in, once we've done enough energy work, it's like, okay, what's the long-term success is built on big juicy offers, right? So let's now create a channel, a funnel, whatever, towards that. And then also I do the energy work on it, and who do you have to become to align to that, to receive that as well. But I think that all intermingles. Like, the funnel is the channel. It's the banks that hold the river, so that you're not like just, dabbling, I suppose, which is.
No, I like that. I really like that. It's about not diluting ourselves. I think that's really powerful. And I love the way we've wrapped back up into the magnetism. You've got to understand what you want to repel, and in order to understand what you want to bring in. I could talk to you all day. Amazing. Honestly, I could. It's been great. But we've been here for a while now, and people might let them go. Oh my God, they were there for over an hour. Do I have time to watch that? Yes, you do.
We'll be so magnetized in by our passion.
Thank you so much, Deb. So yeah, definitely you can find Debbie on Instagram there, and your Facebook page, you're just called Debbie Lim, aren't you?
Yeah, just Debbie Lim. I actually hang out probably more on Facebook. I need to again get the VA posting on Instagram. And then I'll pop the link for Soul Seed and Rebels of the Light under this somewhere. And
just pop it in the comments. That would be great. And likewise, if you're here checking it on Facebook, I'd love for you to go and find our page, Rock the Boat. It's Rock the Boat Life, actually. Because as we all know, our pages don't get a lot of love. And I mean, how about you, Debbie? Do you do most of your marketing on your personal profile?
I closed down my business page and opened a fresh profile.
Yeah.
My other one taken over, not hacked, actually taken over. It was a full takeover. But anyway, I thought, oh well, start fresh again. So I started fresh from scratch about 2 years ago, and just most coaches and personal brands I'm finding are just using personal profiles because they get seen.
Yeah, they really do. Pages are hard work now, but you know they're good if you do want to promote and use ads down the line. Although you can do that now with your professional mode on Facebook on your personal profile, which is pretty awesome actually. So yeah, I will be rethinking whether we really want to stick with the page, but for now, if you don't already follow it, please do. And what do you like with YouTube, Deb? Have you got a YouTube channel?
No, I haven't yet. Only I've got a lot of stuff in there that's unlisted as a space. But yeah, at the moment I've got no. Oh well, I'm actually just talking to someone about rebirthing my website. I had a website, but my business has really changed a lot, and even is rebirthing at the moment. It feels like so. Got a bit of a rebrand going on to really. Rather than have it as here's my ways to work with me, it's like here's Debbie Lim, the global brand, the movement, the revolution, the podcaster, the person that writes books and creates oracle cards. It's all coming.
Great. I love it.
Yeah. I think there's a place again for websites too when you want to anchor, like a kind of feels like a real anchoring, doesn't it? You know?
Yeah. Yeah,
but at the moment, no, Facebook and a very out of date Instagram. But anyway, we'll work on that too.
Yeah, I've just never really dealt with Instagram much. I don't know.
I loved it back in the day when it was static and it was all about pretty pictures. That very much appealed to the photographer in me. Now it's all about videos, of course, because you're trying to be TikTok. So if you're not reeling on Instagram, then you won't be seen. So.
Yeah, and to be honest, I think I'd rather be on TikTok. Just because it's easier to grow that at the moment and cheaper as well. If you are going to advertise, cheaper to get more reach on TikTok.
Amazing. Well, my son has got his own barbershop at home and he's gone viral with something like 30,000 views so far for a video of his home barbershop setup. That's the secret. Mum, it's all about the hashtags. I'm like, oh my gosh.
That really is magic. Go him. That's fantastic. No, well done. I think that's really, really
amazing. Eh? All right, let's do it. Oh, maybe we should do a different one about social media. We could do a whole series of these, couldn't we?
Oh, we could talk forever about a lot of things. Yes. So let us know in the comments if you want us to chat about something else. And we'll see you next time.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's been great. It's been so cool connecting with you. And thanks for coming online.
Thank you.
See you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.